Hello, how are you? My name is Bo, and I'm glad you guys. This is the second episode of this series of videos that I have started. Basically, I'm the co-founder of Zulax Inc. It is a game company. We create casual games for mobile and tablet devices. And one of the way actually I want to I really love to draw and paint, and so I thought it would be a great idea to create these videos mostly focus on casual games that are targeted for mobile and tablet devices, obviously. And basically a little bit about me. If you guys haven't watched the first episode, check it out and let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section. Uh, basically, I have worked in game industry for more than 10 years, game and entertainment industry, and I have done everything from working on a AAA title for Xbox 360, Xbox One, all the way to mobile and tablet devices. I have done concept art, 3D modeling, 3D art, and also actually have done programming as well. I program one of our games and one of our own games at Zulax.com. If you guys are curious about what we do, go check it out. There's a link underneath these videos to our Facebook page, Twitter page, and our website, which is Zulax.com, and you guys can go check out. And our games are basically, I think one of them is like a Sea of Giants. It's free on Google Play. You can check it out, and if you like it, you can unlock the rest of the game from inside. And it's been actually it looks very beautiful. It's been drawn in a matte painting kind of style. And for today, I want to do this episode. Basically, I saw one of our designers playing these games. I'm not exactly what they call it, but it's like a board game. I think it's a board game, and it is like a lot of people play this. Apparently, it's very popular. Basically, you got these small little toys almost, and they play against each other. So, and it's basically almost. I think they call it they call it board games, but I've seen it also. They produce it for iPad and basically Android as well. And basically, it's a turn-based, I guess, a game that you got a bunch of characters, and your opposite person got a bunch of characters, and you guys play against each other. And each character has got like a bunch of powers. And basically, this is based on that. So I want to create something that it can be like a toy-like character, and also be used as a 3D model. It can be used as a 3D model. And when I was creating it, I was obviously I was targeting the casual game audience. So that's my target audience. And just for your information, this video speed up I think about I think 250%. So it's like a couple of hours of painting, and I do basically two characters and almost toy characters, and it takes about like 40 minutes the whole video. So I hope you guys gonna enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you like this video, leave me a comment, and or send us an email, or also we would appreciate if you share this video with your friends. If you think if you like it, and if they like it, let us know. And let's get back to the painting. And have you seen like the painting been going on for a while? Basically, as a base texture, again, just to speed the whole thing up, I had a photo from China, my recent trip to China, and just hold on, let me get a sip of a coffee I got here. Basically, I had a photo from a trip to China, and unfortunately, I haven't spent a lot money in buying a really good camera. I just never had the time to just go out and just buy a camera, which I really need, because I take a lot of pictures, and a lot of them come kind of fuzzy. Actually, this camera is kind of old. But the great thing about it, what I like about this camera, because a lot of pictures come out fuzzy, I can use them as a base picture, so they're not really clear. So that's why I choose that photo. And I thought it just served a good purpose for this painting. And I'm gonna keep this painting monochrome because I want to mostly focus on design, and I want to get it done in a couple of hours. Obviously, if I have more time, I just put in some color in there. But it is, you gotta remember, it's gonna be a toy design, so I want to more focus on the 3D geometry and just the form. So I want to show those qualities, the form and that 3D qualities of this drawing, by mostly lines and values. That's my goal. That's my #1 goal. And if I got more time, I'm gonna focus on more things. As you've seen here, I just put down some basic perspective line down there because I'm gonna paint over everything. So I put in some basic perspective line down there, and then like do some I've done some like basic skeleton inside a skeleton of the whole character, and I play around with some ideas in the back of my head, and I thought it would be cool to create some minions for a demon class or demon army, something like that. Something very generic that can be modified and used. But I didn't want to do the generic demon. I want to do something almost unique, kind of unique. Maybe like it's got some sort of armor, and I can like decorate it with some pattern and ornament. Already like added actually shoulder pad if you look at it. And I didn't want to really focus on the base of the character because I want to spend as much. The most important part of this drawing gonna be like the overall, the 3D quality of that character. And I'm gonna do my best by end of this video to make it 3D enough so for a 3D artist it would be readable. And because we don't get a lot of time, like in casual game industry, everything is I think is actually, I work in a bigger company for like that they do games for Xbox One or PS4, and even though you have to work very fast, in my experience, maybe because our company we are starting to do a lot of games. In my experience, working in a casual game industry, everything is even faster. You have to produce results faster, and it's actually one of those industry that is almost I don't want to say unknown. It's unexplored to a lot of artists out there. A lot of artists want to go out and work for a big giant company, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, a lot of these videos that you watch, you can use them to create your own portfolio to apply for a AAA like a kind of game. Because a lot of these big companies actually they get in a mobile space, so you're actually going to be ahead of the game. This knowledge that I'm going to share with you, I gathered over like years and years and years, and I'm just like sharing with this knowledge with you guys. Just you guys gonna find out what it took me like 2 or 3 or 4 years to figure out in half an hour or 20 minutes. So I'm trying to add as much value to your knowledge as much as I can. And the other thing I want to tell about these videos, another sip of coffee. The other thing I wanted to tell about these videos, you guys don't have to be the perfect draftman, but I expect these are like a mostly targeted toward the people. They know a basic level of drawing, such as perspective and a bit of anatomy. So basically, if you know some perspective and you know how to draw object in perspective, you should be able to like kind of understand what I'm doing here. Because I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. Maybe in later videos I can spend some time on those basic concepts, drawing perspective, drawing the basic anatomy. Because when I draw these things, I've been doing anatomy for a long time, so it just kind of unconsciously I'm thinking about bones, I'm thinking about muscles, and those things kind of pop in your head. So it becomes like almost like it becomes your second nature actually. You don't really think about it, and actually it's not a really good thing not think about it. But I guess it's good to become a second nature when you work fast. But sometimes still it is good to think about things consciously, so so you can improve your skill that way. And what I did right now actually, I added the whole splash of like a kind of lighter color on overall painting, and I started using the erasing tool to refine the silhouette. And you see, as you see, a lot of places are undefined, and it's very rough. It's going to be very rough, and I try to focus on the most important part, such as hands and the chest and the leg. And when you work at 3D artists, and the 3D our 3D artists are extremely talented, and they're gonna be able to understand, to make up a lot of stuff themselves. As long your painting and your drawing gonna be readable in industry, they should be understand. And I like this kind of style, the very loose kind of style that I'm not really focused on creating pretty brush strokes as they do in fine art. In fine art, one of the biggest things is creating pretty brush strokes. Obviously, after you defining the forms and all that kind of stuff are very important in fine art. But in concept art, at this point, my number one goal is like create something of geometry and design that can communicate my idea to a 3D artist or anybody else, a producer or like a client or whatever. And since this like a typical use of this drawing gonna be, I'm gonna get in the morning and they say, oh, like somebody need to do this character and we need to make an update to this game, and it's gonna be on Google Play or iTunes in I don't know, like a half a day. So everything is so fast. You have to come up with a concept right away in an hour. You don't have a lot of time to make it pretty. So you gotta prioritize. You gotta see what is the most important thing. And at this point, as I mentioned, 3D geometry is most important. And the reason I'm actually gonna repeat a lot of stuff to you guys, so you guys remember it, because repetition is great for learning something and remembering something. So I'm gonna try to repeat a lot of these concepts and major concepts that that very extremely important in design to you guys over and over. So hopefully you guys pick it up. And like I'm basically right now I'm just kind of like picking up, like I'm using the color picker to pick a lot of colors out of the painting and just paint over it. I'm trying to think about geometry and think about the design right now. I'm trying to figure out a hip. I'm trying to separate planes, and right now I'm using a bit of a smudge tool to just kind of smudge the tones all across the leg, so that way make it like a kind of just show the round nature of the leg, adding some dark values here and there. I'm trying to, one of the things actually I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to go too dark and too light. I'm very careful. I'm trying to keep it in a, obviously this is a digital painting and you can fix it. You can paint over it. But at the same time, because I kind of come from like a kind of traditional background, so I guess I'm a bit more careful. I'm trying to be very careful about adding like a too much of light and dark values. So I have a very strong mid-tone and try to make it as dimensional as I can within these tones. And later on, at the end, I'm going to add more darks. Right now, for example, I added some darks underneath the arm to just basically push it back. So to push the arm back and make it much more separated from the chest area. And basically, one of the things you got to think about when you guys design this game, design these characters, obviously it's great to be original. So I'm adding some originality to the character. For example, it's not a typical demon-looking guy. It's got like two horns, obviously, like a stereotype two horns, but the face is actually more a bit more human. So I want to add more originality to it, but at the same time you got to understand your target audience wants something that they can recognize. They're like, okay, like I can see this can be a demon, so they kind of gotta, maybe they, so all I'm saying, you guys can be original, but at the same time you gotta, it shouldn't be so out there that somebody get lost. They don't know what are you guys doing. And another sip of the coffee. And obviously, like I painted this before, and I'm just like talking over it. It's very hard for me to paint and talk at the same time. I just found it easier because sometimes it's very hard for your brain, because a lot of things happen in your brain. You think about perspective, you think about anatomy. And some of the tools I'm using right now, it's actually, I'm using very, very basic tools. Maybe your tool is actually going to be better than mine. My tool is just an old Wacom, and I had it like from 8 years ago. So I don't have a Syntec. I really love to try one, and maybe I just get one, but I just never had a chance, and I'm just feel comfortable with it. And I'm just using like Photoshop, basic Photoshop, and just actually my computer is not bad. It's pretty good. It's got like about 16 gigs RAM, but if you look at his painting, I'm actually painting on one layer. So if you're painting on one layer, you shouldn't have any problem with even 4 gigs RAM computer. And a lot of computers these days, I haven't been outside, but a lot of computers these days, I guess, these days are very powerful. I bought this computer a long time ago, so but it works out for me at this point. So I'm trying to not have more than 1 or 2 layers, and because that way things that don't get as complex. There's sometimes I actually have more layers, but for this painting I just want to focus on design. I don't want my mind to be worried about so many things at the same time. And what works for me is like I think what might work for a lot of people, to keep things simple. Simplicity, they say, is beautiful. Trying to keep things simple. And sorry about some artifacts on the video. I just got to figure out the correct codec and everything that I got to use for my PC to get rid of those artifacts on the video. And but for now, like, I hope you guys like hopefully I fix it in the future. Again, like I appreciate if you guys like check out like our website and leave us a comment and send us an email. Tell us what you think about these videos, what you guys like to see in the future. And again, the reason I'm doing this video, I want to focus on art for casual game industry. It's a huge market. Obviously, there's a millions of app, I guess, on Apple. So there's tons of games coming out every day, and what's happening is like I want to show you behind the scenes in casual games, and hopefully with these videos I will be able to show some of that to you guys. And at the same time, if you guys like are a student, or like are art enthusiasts, or anybody, if you guys got a piece of art and you guys think like you just send it to me, I might get a time to look at it. If I didn't respond back, don't think I ignore you. Just know that we get really busy, like especially when releasing a game and our studio. So I'm not just the artist here. I have to like oversee other people. And here actually I just play around with some description. So try to come up with some like make it. I was playing around with the idea, how would this look if it was a card, like for an adventure game or something like that. Just a card. For example, it's got 27 attack, magic is 50, health is 43, and I want to see how does it look like. I was just kind of curious, and but obviously I'm designing this mostly as a toy, mostly as a kind of toy or something that it can be used on a board game. So that's the main purpose of this thing. And one of the areas I really like to focus on sometimes is the face, because the face and the hands in a character, it just show a lot of emotion. And if you think about it, just obviously you can portray emotion through the whole pose, through the gesture, through the tonality, to a lot of things. But one of my rules is like focus on simple thing. And one of the thing I learned is the face is very, very important, obviously, in the character. Even if the whole character gonna look rough, if you got a readable face and your face, the character face looks full of character, it's gonna look way much better. Obviously, it doesn't mean ignore the other things. And the other thing you just keep in mind when you do painting, sometimes actually I fall in the same trap. I just focus on one area and keep drawing and doodling that one area. And you zoom out, you see the time is gone, and you just got this pretty arm, and that's not good. I'm trying to move around as much as I can. Here I'm actually started to adding some like highlights, and as a mostly like very like a thin highlights to add more details, to bring out more details and separate the shape from background, add more volume to the overall shape. I'm thinking right now I'm thinking about what are the most important part of this character that I can add those highlights that are gonna make the huge difference. And and actually the resolution of this painting is very high. So I think it's about 3,000 pixel by like I think 2,700, something like that. It's not that high, but that's a resolution it's good to work in, because if you want to print it and if you want to do something like it's gonna be easier for you in the future. It's better to work in a high resolution painting, because later on down the line, especially if you want to print it and use it as a portfolio piece, the print's gonna look way much better. The other thing you got to keep in mind when you print something, you want to make sure put it on 300. I think DPI is the best print quality. As you see, I'm not really. I added some stuff to the base, but whenever I get in the base, I'm thinking about I don't want to spend too much on the base of the character, because it's not important. It's just like it's just gonna be something round and maybe a bunch of things around it, bunch of ancient shapes or patterns. That's the whole idea. What people obviously it's gonna be very important. It is on its own, but since I don't have a lot of time to spend on this painting, I gotta prioritize. I gotta see what is the most important part is like the character itself. So that's what's gonna sell. I'm experimenting with some and as you can see, the tonality of the character is very, very dark. It goes toward the dark values. Obviously, I added some thin highlights around it to show more detail, and it's actually suggests more detail. It's not it's still very rough, and the light background you just push out the character very well. See, it's like a dark against light, and as you can see, I added like a black layer at the top, and sometimes I turn on off this that layer to check the tonality of the painting, and I use the color picker to just move around and see what tones I have. Here I just kind of expanding the canvas, and I'm gonna do the second toy or second character that we're gonna use in our games. And I'm kind of satisfied with it at this point. I'm just using some scatter, like a brush, to just scatter painting and get off that kind of making more. So I'm gonna paint over it. So I'm gonna add I'm gonna start adding the base there and try to make sure it's almost presentation. Also in the concept painting is very important. So obviously, and to just save time, I just as you can see, I just copy and paste the base. So because it doesn't matter, the base is gonna be the same. The base is gonna be the same in this character because they're gonna be demons, or they're gonna be from the same class. So imagine it makes more sense to make them the same. So as you can see here, like I'm doing a bit of a small thumbnail, just like just very rough. Just come up with ideas. Sometimes it is good idea to just like draw something really small, because when you draw something small, your eyes, your brain can focus on the whole design. As you saw in the first character, what I did is I started designing a character right away. I didn't even do a thumbnail. I just kind of play around with the lines and a shape, and something came along. This time, I just taken a different approach. I did a small thumbnail very fast. I think that took like a 10 second, literally 20 second, something like that. And I thought about like I want to do something that they both of them look like they belong in the same army, but they just look different. They serve different purpose. And one of the way I thought, obviously, to make them look like they belong in the same army is the horns. And it's very cliche, but it works well. Why not? And I added the horns, and I thought giving it I'm gonna give it this one very long arms, and basically very thick long arms at the bottom. So that way it's also show gravity. And I'm adding like I'm just playing out with a silhouette, and everything is very rough. As you can see, it's very rough. I'm not trying to think about perspective or anything. I added some line for perspective, but I'm not trying, obviously I'm not trying to make this pretty. I'm just trying to think about, at this point I'm thinking about how can I come up with a good design, and later on I'm going to be worried about more perspective and everything. And as you can see, sometimes I do that. This is a good technique. When you like draw a bunch of stuff and like you just kind of run out a dark spot, what I do, I just like take a soft brush and throw a whole bunch of light color or something at the top of it, and I start drawing over it. So it works well. As you can see, if I was drawing with the same dark lines over the dark shades, it wouldn't stand out as much, and it wouldn't be as clear to my brain as what I did here. I just like so I'm kind of drawing the form right now. I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm not exactly still sure. I'm just playing around with the idea, and so I just figure out the chest, and I'm trying to make both of them kind of come from the same army. So they're gonna have some like patterns. The way they're gonna do that, I'm gonna do that with the horn, and I'm gonna do that with obviously the color. They're gonna become like very much the same. I'm gonna do that with patterns on the body. I'm gonna make sure some of the patterns matches the other guy's pattern. The kind of ornate looking kind of patterns. That way they look like belong to the same army. And actually, as I said, presentation is very important. This is a very simple rule. Actually, I drew these two guys on a base, on a pedestal, and what happened is I'm making them face the center of the center of like a painting. The reason I do that, because I figure out if in a composition, if you make something face the out of the painting, or face like out of the painting, basically the other side, your eye is gonna get carried out of the painting and the canvas. So that's why both of them kind of looking at each other, so facing each other. So it's a very basic thing to just keep in mind when you're doing your art and doing your design. So like I'm just using like a very dark lines, trying to figure out the shapes, trying to figure out geometry, trying to figure out like a structure. And this one, like I'm actually trying to make it like as organic as I can, and at the same time I'm trying to think about a 3D guy. If the 3D guy gonna look at this, is he gonna understand? Is he gonna understand what's the shape or form of this arm, and what is that, or what is this? So I want to. It's gonna be, because this thing gonna serve as a communication. I try to make the face different, very kind of. I actually made it. I guess I made the face have look like a bird, kind of almost bird-like face. So sometimes you can take inspiration from animals and everything. So I just mix the animal with a basically a humanoid body with a long arm. So that's the whole basic design, and just two horns. And I think for my purpose, it's actually gonna work out well. I haven't played some of these games. Like I don't really get the time to play games, and not because I don't like it. I just like haven't had the time recently. So, but sometimes when we have to look at the market and look at what other people do in order to keep basically up there our knowledge with what's going on in the industry, I see a lot of actually big companies that coming out with these games that they're board based. They're like a board games, and basically you got a bunch of characters, and actually one of the best games to I saw a YouTube video of. It looks the character looks like actually like this. They're all uh, structured over a base, and they all look like toy like characters. It's a Hitman. If you look at a Hitman game, that's how it looks like. The characters look like this one. Actually, I kind of got inspired from that game to design these characters. So imagine we creating a game like a Hitman, but our characters happen to be in a fantasy world, and we fight in a demon army or something like that. And again, just as a final, as an added reminder, try to subscribe to us at this channel. I already made a playlist, and I'm gonna make sure this playlist is gonna be uniquely used for tutorial videos. So if you come to our channels, and if you could click on this playlist, all you see just tutorials. And these are free information, and these are very valuable information that it took me years to gather, and it's a very it can, over the time, it can make a huge difference in what you guys do. I haven't for example, I haven't got this knowledge. What I'm gonna tell you guys in 20 or 30 minutes, it took me years to figure out and study and get from other people. Obviously, with the magic of YouTube and internet, these information are free, and I like to share them with you. And at the same time, we're always looking for intern. So don't be shy. Send us an email or portfolio. I don't promise anything, because as a business sense, nothing is guaranteed. But for sure, I'll be looking at your stuff, and even if you want to look at your portfolio, just send them in. If I get a chance, I'll look at it. Again, you got to understand, things can get really busy, so I don't promise I'm gonna email you back right away tomorrow, but I do my best to just respond to you guys as much as I can. And just keep watching our videos, and I'm gonna share more information, and let me know what you guys like to see. What kind of what I gotta do is basically I want to do for these videos. As I said, I want to keep them very casual, and I want to keep them for designed toward casual gaming. So let me know what kind of art you guys want to see. Do you guys want to see art that been created for a 2D game or a platformer? Do you guys want me to do art for a background or a fantasy game? Do you guys want me to do a environment for RPG or something like that? And I try to come up with new ideas every month and every day, and I try to do as much YouTube as I can every week. But let me know what you guys are looking for, and that way also I might look at them and keep some of them into consideration. Again, these videos targeted toward people mostly. If you like just casual games, you're not even an artist, I think actually you're gonna enjoy these videos, and because we're gonna talk about a lot of games, and we're gonna talk about game designs, so you guys are gonna enjoy these videos no matter what. But as an artist, if you guys want to use these as a information to create your own portfolio, I just keep in mind you need to know some basic understanding of drawing and perspective and anatomy. Those basic things. Uh, so because these information I'm giving you, I imagine you already know perspective and the basic forms and lighting and anatomy. Just a very basic thing. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And as you can see, I'm just kind of making sure I'm just playing around with a lot like a silhouette. And here I'm trying to, this is a very rough painting. So not everything going to be exactly perfect. That's not the purpose. The purpose is like make it dimensional enough and to sell the design to a 3D artist. That's that's my goal. But at the same time, I spend some time to make sure it's got a nice symmetry across the painting, across the character, because the character is going to be symmetrical. Obviously, the other shoulder pad looks different from the other one, but this aside from that, the character is going to be symmetrical, and it's going to be a bird-looking character, so it's going to be like a kind of it's gonna have this it's a shock value. So that's one of the other things. It's gonna have a shock value when you look at a face, and you know it's gonna be a demon or like a demon-like character. Again, like I'm adding some like a light value actually all over the place. I feel there's too many tones here at this point, and I'm just using a soft brush and just going over everything, and just trying to get rid of some of that extra tones that I already put in. And I'm gonna erase over this tone, and this way I'm gonna get extra lighting at the same time. I'm gonna get extra dimension as well, and I'm gonna do this very fast. I'm gonna use a big brush, and I try to do it as fast as I can, because I really don't want to spend a lot of time erasing things. I want to use a lot of variety of techniques in a very short amount of time. So this way I get like a shadows, as you guys can see, and I get extra forms and extra colors. Even this basic monochrome like a painting, it's already got a lot of colors. It's got that earthy kind of color to it, maybe red earthy color. And you guys I'm gonna post a high-res image of this painting into our DeviantArt account and also at our Facebook and Twitter account, so you guys can download and check it out. And just keep in mind, these paintings are not meant for commercial use. These are meant for tutorials. So they all got copyright by Zulax Inc. on them, and it's just something that I have to follow, and just a basic standard industry standard that basically you don't use somebody else's art or you don't use somebody else's photo, and you need the other person, the company permission. So please don't use these stuff as a base of your art. Just do it yourself. These are meant to these are meant to be like a tutorial for you guys. So I hope I share more information and share values with you guys. And I went like I actually graduated from a Sheridan College and study animation, art, and character design. So the other thing I want to let you guys know, obviously industry gonna teach you guys tremendously about everything. You guys gonna learn a lot about a lot of things. But one of the things I hear a lot these days that a lot of industry people say, "Oh, your education doesn't matter. When you come to industry, your education doesn't matter. And if you're like graduate from some college, or life drawing, drawings and stuff, that doesn't matter. That's gonna go out the door, and you're gonna learn a whole lot of stuff. That you're gonna learn a lot of stuff, but your education do matter. So I just want to let you know, don't if you art college or you're art student, take your project seriously. It's gonna make a huge difference down the line. if you learn those basic tools and basic technique. So later on, obviously you're gonna build upon it, but you're gonna learn all through life, especially with industry at this point going everything going so digital. Everything right now is so digital, and uh, everybody have a mobile phone or a tablet. So things are changing fast. So what we know in our company like a month ago, right now is we cannot use that information because it's outdated. We have to use a new software. We have to use a new data. So everything just changing super fast. But it doesn't mean we lose our experience. We still use our old experience to learn new things and do new things. But in art, as long as you know design like it's kind of like it's a learning process. As far as you got to look at a lot of photos, you got to look at a lot of environment, a lot of nature, and you just got to build a whole bunch of reference in the back of your head. And as you see here, like the only thing I use here as a reference, basically I use a photo as a base texture. I didn't use any reference or anything because I got the whole library in the back of my brain that I go and get. So don't be worried if you like don't come up with the greatest stuff in the beginning. Try to study nature. Try to study old masters, Sargent, old master painters, and try to study those guys. But those guys, when you study those guys, actually a lot of those guys, they knew about design and knew about colors a lot. And if you just check out some of those stuff, and it's just mind-blowing what those guys were doing at a time. And a lot of them actually would draw like, for example, Leonardo, at his point, like he would draw this classical painting from Bible. And if you think about it, those are concept art as well. It's just a different version. At that point, the entertainment was religion and church, and people didn't have a video game or didn't have tablet. So what people do, people probably go to some church and look at some paintings and some Bible story, and that was their entertainment. Like I don't know, like that was just the culture at that point. So that's why they would spend a lot of time on creating these Renaissance paintings with a whole lot of story. So actually here, like I'm creating just a fast pattern. I'm just creating this fast pattern, and I'm just copying and pasting it to the other side to just save time, and just it gives me a symmetry as well. So I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to make sure everything's symmetrical. And it's not perfect, but it just serves the purpose. It just gives the 3D artist, just put some ornate type patterns there. So that's a whole lot of time when you do concept painting, it's the art of suggestion and making things clear. So that's what you have to do. And basically what I was talking about, like a Renaissance. So in Renaissance, that was their premise. And actually at this point, I just want to let you guys, at a base, I felt like I just want to give it like make it look good in a very fast amount of time. So I just made 2 ellipses through Photoshop tools and squash them, and I'm just kind of select inside, and sometimes I select outside of it and then paint on it. So that way I get this nice sharp line, so I don't have to spend a lot of time drawing. So it's a very neat trick if you want to do something some ellipse very fast. And actually in perspective, ellipses are very important, so just make sure you get them right. It's just a whole other thing you got to learn in perspective. When you draw circles and ellipses, those are like there's a whole lot of knowledge to that. So just make sure you also study that in perspective. And here, like I'm checking out my tonality. And there's nothing different from what we do and what those guys were doing in Renaissance. We both work in the entertainment industry. At that point of time, people entertain each other different through like Bible stories and things. So these videos are mostly just like a focus on art, and what I'm telling you guys is mostly based on a reference. And here I'm actually using I'm using like a very like a very light colors to add some like a highlights to the overall, like just adds more highlights. And just as you can see, like it gives it more dimension, and everything just popping out, and just everything become more dimensional just with a just touch of highlights. I'm not doing much. I'm just using some very light lines to add to the painting. And as you can see, I'm trying to not add use white. I'm trying to keep it like a, you see, like it's very light, but it's not white. So I'm just like adding more, like I'm basically drawing those highlights. As you can see, sometimes I just like use lines to come across the forms, and that way I show planes, I show the overall form or the overall body, because that was my, as I said in the beginning of the video, that was my goal, to make it as dimensional as I can for a 3D artist, because we try to communicate actually something very complex. We try to communicate something that some idea, and eventually want to visualize it in a 3D form, and that's going to be a totally different process, and it's going to be a very complex process. So there's no, sometimes I can just give this to a 3D artist and start modeling it, and he's gonna make up the back by himself. It depends on artist and how skillful he is or she is. But a lot of our artists actually sometimes for to make sure not everything is ambiguous, we actually do another drawing and do a very fast drawing of the back side, or the way the character looks on the back or on the side, because at this point all you can see is just a three-quarter view of the character. So mostly you see the front side and the side, so you don't see the back. So on the back you can have the whole different costume, but I cannot show it in this painting. So later on, maybe I do a very fast drawing for a 3D artist, and I tell him this is what is happening in the back of the character. But when I draw a character and I'm aiming to do just one drawing or one painting, the best pose or angle it is three-quarter, because on three-quarter you can show the front and the side, and so you just give a whole bunch of data to artists just one painting, and that is very important, because you're trying to give the artist as much as data as possible in the shortest amount of time with a minimal amount of effort. As you can see, it's actually a very large painting. It's like about 5,000 or something. So here, like, I'm just getting a bit fancy, and I'm just trying to come up with some name or something, just make it more presentable, because presentation is very important. Obviously, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, because this is not for a client. This is for our own studio if you're gonna use it. So as long as it's just like kind of add something to it, I guess I try to use some very generic name, Demon's Army concept, something very generic, nothing too fancy. And as you can see, I don't have a lot of layers actually. I just got like I'm putting all those layers in a folder so it doesn't get in my way, so I can add some final touches to the painting. My goal was to spend like about an hour and a half or something on this painting, just like by taking some breaks and stuff. I have to do something on the side, answer some emails. It took about like I think couple of hours. And I don't have any special brushes. I'm just using the default brushes of Photoshop. That way I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I try to keep things for myself, and this is what works for me. For you, it might work different. I know a lot of artists, they got a lot of brushes and a lot of things. And maybe in later videos, if you guys like it, let me know. I can show you guys how to come up with custom brushes and how you guys can create those nice brushes that give you texture and makes a painting more traditional and more painterly. There's some tricks to that, but those are more like for make the painting more permanently fancy. And I can see adding those highlights, it just added so much to the overall painting. I'm just like playing around with it, like a bit of like a curve, so just making I think I just make the contrast a bit more higher, so I added more contrast, so I just trying to get it off the left side of those artifacts. And that's it, guys. Again, subscribe to us, Zulax, and check out our website, zulax.com, and let us know what you guys like about these videos and what you guys like to see in the future. And also connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. There's links underneath these videos, underneath this video for our Facebook and Twitter page. And thank you, and thanks for watching. And I hope you guys enjoy episode 2. Take care.